we've talked about our few issues with Lunar over the time we've been using them, and more every week, it's clear to me how, this is going to sound weird, how good we have it.
This goes out to the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dale Bush.
I think this episode and next episode and every episode from now on are all going to be sequel episodes.
Oh.
Because last week's episode was called The Wrong Cover.
Okay.
And that is not a phenomenon that is going to change.
No. Not as long as they keep making so many covers.
Once again, somebody said, oh, is this all you have for this book? And it is multiple covers and multiple copies of each of those covers.
Just say 3 Jokers.
It wasn't.
No? Really? Because
No.
I had that happen with 3 Jokers.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
We were out of the A cover.
Oh, right.
And it was like, nope, want the A cover. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, we jumped through all these hoops to get the 3 premium covers, and we were out of the A cover. And and now we're out of the A and B covers, so all we have are premium covers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, again, the cover apparently is the only part of the comic that matters.
Yep. Story inside is sort of irrelevant.
After they left, I went to the shelf and grabbed everything and held them up to the other person in the store saying, this isn't enough.
Yeah. All of these copies are insufficient because they have the wrong cover.
I also had someone, and this isn't saying that they were actually excited, but they were down in the tea section of the store with their 2 young children.
Okay.
And they start yelling, "You have these? You have these?" And I go, "Excuse me?" And he holds up copies of Thor. "You have these?" Like, what do you mean?
No, we don't.
What do you mean? He's like, "I can't believe you have these." Yeah, we have them. They're right there. Like, why did that need to be shouted across the store?
Was it Thor number 6?
He bought multiple issues, but yes.
Someone pointed out to me when they were buying a copy of Thor number 6 on Wednesday or something. Everyone in the city is sold out of this. How do you still have this?
Well, first of all, that is not true. Everyone in the city is not sold out of it.
Well, do we have like a couple of copies left?
Well, when they were saying it to you, we weren't sold out of it, is what
Correct.
my point is.
I guess they meant every other store in the city was sold out of it.
I see.
I didn't want to be that pedantic about it with them because they were very excited and they were very happy that we had copies of a book that now instead of selling out in less than 8 hours, we sold out in 8 days.
I don't know for a fact we're sold out.
I mean, if we have any left, it's like 1 or 2, and that means we will be sold out tomorrow.
Sure. I did hear you tell some. I heard that exchange with that person. You're just like, yeah, we ordered a bunch extra.
Yeah.
Which is weird to me because as I was looking at things in the orders, I can't remember if I was doing the initial. When I was doing the initial orders, Marvel this week.
Okay.
When I was doing Thor, it didn't show those extra ones as being received.
Right. I don't know why.
So,
but they definitely have been tracked.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, that reorder did not get listed.
This is the point where we abandon any little anecdotes and little topics I had and just segue into all the ridiculous difficulties we're having with our distributors' computer systems.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you want to start?
Not really.
So do you not want to talk about it at all?
We can.
I think we need to because...
I guess. I mean, it's
just as a blanket...
It's tough to talk
apology for people.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the main things. And I also, we can segue into this later if you want, but I did write up the email I'm sending out to all the Pullbox users to kind of define some terms and go over some stuff and hopefully answer some frequently asked questions or address some frequently noted problems on the consumer side. We're having definitely a lot of problems with Comic Suite, which is our internal subscription management program. DC specifically is a vendor for that program. And then Pullbox, the consumer interface for Comic Suite. All different problems, unfortunately, and a lot of them are things that are not reproducible or things that we're not sure why they happened the way they did.
By reproducible, you mean they don't happen the same way for same people, so we could track
Correct.
down and figure out what's broken.
I'm using not reproducible in like a programming or troubleshooting term, where sometimes an error happens and it's like, you're telling me all the ways that it happened, but I can't make my version of the program do that. So
like when you take your car to the mechanic, like, it's not making that noise for me.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah. Or it's like if somebody said, I did this and it turned off, and it's like, okay, I'm doing this and it's not turning off, so I don't know how you did that. It could just be...
I feel attacked.
A specific... Like, sometimes for computer programs, this sounds insane, it's just some weird one-off error. Like, some version of things aligned, and it led to an outcome that is unpredictable. And shouldn't happen or doesn't make sense, but it did.
Or to put it another way, I found a bug.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But with some of the problems we've been having this past week, it's kind of all over the map. The big problem we were having with DC stuff is that basically because Comic Suite has still not been updated to better understand how DC orders are happening through outside distributors, Comic Suite and Diamond are basically... They're dealing with orders in very different ways from almost book to book, where sometimes they'll leave orders in place even though technically those books haven't been ordered with Diamond. Sometimes they'll delete them. Sometimes they'll delete some orders depending on when those orders were entered. So 95% of the people down for a book will actually get it, and 5% will just have those orders vanish. So we were having a lot of problems this week with specifically Batman 3 Jokers, where there were a few people who had asked for it who... we did put them down for it, but it ended up kind of vanishing out of the system, or it had them down for 2 and 3, but not issue 1. And that's really frustrating, because for me, one of the basic bedrock things for a comic shop is that your subscription management has to work. If people ask for you to hold a book, you have to hold a book.
If you offer a pull and hold service, the bare minimum is that you pull and hold.
And I don't mean you do it 99% of the time, I mean 100% of the time. Errors are unacceptable. If I'm someone who's asking a store to hold my books for me, to pull issues for me, and suddenly a book gets missed, that is going to haunt me. I am going to think about that literally every time.
Every week when you go to get your books,
everything
like, what's
going to be
missing
there
this time?
Or, and this is the thing that's more frustrating, it's going to make me less...
less likely to order special items?
Yeah, well, basically, like, less trusting that I should place an order. Like, if I'm just going to have to pick it up off the shelf anyway, why bother giving them the order in advance when it could be missed? And then I go in the next week, and the book from the previous week that I was expecting to be there isn't, and they're sold out. Like, maybe I'm overstating it, and other people don't have this problem with it. Maybe for them, anything over 95% accuracy is great, and they'll take it. But for me, I get really frustrated when there's any errors, even if they're things that are out of my hands. And this is the thing I told you late in the day when we were having like the second or third time where something got missed because of a failure in Comic Suite or Pullbox. While I can point to that and go, that's not my responsibility, or we did everything right and the program failed, that doesn't matter to the people who shop at the store. Everything we're doing, Comic Suite, Pullbox, Diamond, whatever, that's all our responsibility. It's like if I go to Chipotle and they're out of chicken and it's like, well, our chicken vendor didn't give us stuff in time. I don't care. That's not my problem. You guys, Chipotle, didn't have it. What are you doing to fix it? I'm not mad at your chicken guy. I'm mad at you as the restaurant for not taking the steps to make sure that this didn't happen. And I would expect people to feel the same way about challengers. I would expect them not to be upset with, Diamond or DC. I'd expect them to be upset with us. So it makes a lot of these errors that are happening doubly frustrating because it makes us look bad and I feel responsible. And yet at the same time, I can't do anything to fix some of this stuff. I hate saying this, but it's going to keep happening. We're going to try and mitigate it as much as we can, but there are elements of this, again, where kind of data disappears from the system where we can't do anything about it. It's just not going to work for a little while. And literally the only way we could fix that is saying we're not pulling DC books until Diamond fixes this. Then we'll get it 100% right because we're not setting anything aside. I wouldn't say that's a better solution.
No, definitely not.
Than random and unpredictable inaccuracies. But regardless, it was a thing that was really frustrating on Wednesday. And certainly, I apologize to anyone who had that happen to them. And I took the time to email a couple people, one person who'd reached out to specify how they had ordered the book and how it had not been held for them. and someone else who I'd realized later had pulled something off the shelf because they had subscribed to it through Pullbox, and Pullbox had somehow randomly, instead of adding the order on to copies that we were already receiving, added it to a different order that arrived 2 days later.
Right, but they don't know that. All
No.
they know is that they asked for it and it wasn't there.
And I tried to explain that to them. Like, one of the things that's important to me is, even if, I don't think that it necessarily matters that it was an error outside of our control, I always like to give people the information of, here's how it happened.
Yeah.
If there was an error, because we do work very hard on making sure these errors don't occur, if it did happen, I want you to understand the process under which it occurred to hopefully, allay some of your fears that we're just really bad at our job.
Here is how it happened. I was going to work this morning, and the line at Dunkin' was so massive, I thought, I'm not stopping.
Did you walk or drive? You drove, right?
I drove, yeah. I'm not going to walk in this heat. Come on.
I know that because of something later in the story.
So once I got to the store, I'm like, well, I still want Dunkin', so I'll DoorDash it. And I had DoorDashed from my phone that very Dunkin' restaurant a week or two before. The last time Dunkin' was too crowded for me to stop.
Mm-hmm.
So I placed my order, and that was that. And then a little while later, a strikingly swarthy, handsome sweaty delivery person walks in, and it's Dal Bush.
Yep.
Because we share a DoorDash account,
Mm-hmm.
and DoorDash, the app, defaults to the last address it was sent to.
Mm-hmm.
So my food, rather than being sent to the store, was sent to Dal's apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And I, didn't have my phone on my person because I was busy and I'd laid it down. So I never saw him message me.
Yep.
And I hadn't signed into my email for the day. That's the thing that happens on Fridays. Like, I don't get to email right away because there's too many other immediate things to deal with.
I can understand that.
And I didn't know that my food... I was just waiting for it to show up.
Right, I figured.
And it did. And it did. So that is on me.
Since we share a DoorDash account, I kept checking my phone to see, is he reordering this? Or is he, escalating some problem or something, and nothing was being reordered? So
he didn't even notice because he was so distracted.
Yeah.
So that's clearly my fault for not
when I walked
double-checking the address.
With the bag, it was like, what's this? Your food.
Yeah, I literally thought you just saw the guy outside and you're like, oh, I'll take that in for you.
Nope.
No, you walked it all the way over.
I did, yeah.
So that is the whole way that accident happened.
45 minutes of my day that I wasn't really planning on, and the joke is, even when I was out, I still just DoorDash lunch.
Yeah, but I mean, there were things you needed to do at the store anyway. So that
I
helped.
did. One of the things I needed to do.
Of course, you could have done them from home.
I could have. I had actually messaged you through GChat to say, hey, I need to jump on the system at the store, but you weren't in your email yet, so you didn't see it.
Yep.
I had stayed up too late at night and overslept in the morning, and then had not woken up early enough to send out the subscriber email before Patrick had gotten to the store and started using the register, which is where the email goes out from. So I stopped into the store and then sent out the email, and then basically, I'd already was at the store longer than I wanted to, because basically anytime I stop, you as well, if you stop at the store on a day off during operating hours, you are going to get sucked into something.
Yeah.
You're going to be answering a customer's questions, or answering a phone,
Well,
or ringing somebody up, or whatever.
This goes back into our diamond discussion.
It happens to Kent, too. Even when Kent just shows up.
Yeah.
There's going to be a point where he'll be, giving you a massage, or he'll be ringing something up for himself on the register.
You said it like it's a thing he shouldn't be doing. That is a normal
Well, while he's doing
Wednesday
two
task.
other things, he'll then end up having to, answer the phone for somebody, or grab someone's club books, or ring up somebody else because he's on the register at that point.
Yeah, I mean, look, to be fair, those are all things that I should be doing, but because he's there,
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't do it.
Sure. I mean, it's the same thing. I could just as easily, when I'm in the store on my day off, opt out of doing any of those things. No one's
There
making
was a point where I was at the side counter, you were at the computer, the phone rang, and I didn't look back, I just held my hand out.
Like I was handing it to you?
Yeah, hand me the phone. And I turned around and you weren't even looking at the phone.
No.
I'm like, oh.
I was trying to finish up my computer work, which the joke of it is that one of the things I usually do in the morning on Fridays is I'll do any last-minute Pullbox stuff, so that stuff is reflected on people's subscriber emails. But this time, because that can take 10 or 15 minutes, depending on what needs to be done and how specific some of those requests are. I'm like, I want to get out of here and go home. I'm just going to do this, which then, like, directly afterwards had 2 emails of, hey, and it's like, you're not wrong to call out that you asked for these things on Pullbox and they're not reflected in your email, but this one time it was because I was so late doing this and I did not have time to do the Pullbox stuff too.
Yes.
Well, some of that is because I did the Pullbox stuff the night before, but these were all requests that were made like that morning.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't...
Well, see,
we try and be... Real quick. We try and be very, like, on top of that stuff, where as soon as you request it, it's on the file, and we kind of, hopefully, I guess, create a sort of expectation of, as soon as I request it, they've taken care of it. That's maybe an unreasonable expectation. A lot of stores, like, if you ask for it within 24 hours, they will take care of it. So, maybe for some people, like, if you didn't see it on there... It's because you asked for it 2 hours before, and that's a little too fast for us some mornings.
2 things.
Mm-hmm.
One, when we were working together, I never checked that. I just leave it to you.
Sure. I haven't done it yet tonight.
2, you were specifically saying these and pluralizing the requests that came in this morning. One of those requests was not a Pullbox thing. It just was not on their list.
Oh, interesting.
Like, it wasn't... I mean, it may be a Pullbox error, but it wasn't a title waiting for approval in Pullbox.
Curious.
That we only find them when they're dead, just was not on their account.
Huh. So strange.
So I added it.
Sure.
So it's fine, but so that you didn't see my reply email, but it had said, like, hey, this isn't a redundant email. I'm glad you sent it. We didn't have you down for it. You're down for it now, but now we need to figure out why you weren't down for it.
Yeah, it could be a thing where they... Did you look at the special order section or just subscriptions?
I did look at the special order section.
And it wasn't there?
Nope.
So it might have been a thing where they, even if it was a subscription, if they'd added it with the current
also,
catalog,
the tone of the email
it.
made it sound like this was a request from a while ago, not like today.
I mean that could be the case. Like, I'd have to dig through emails to find out if they'd requested it. And that could be the case where...
But, I mean, it could have been a Pullbox request from earlier in the month that they didn't put, hey, I want... Well, no, because then it would have been on their account, but starting with number 2 or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if they had added it from the current catalog...
Don't look it up now. We're in the middle of a podcast.
I can do 2 things at once. Go on.
No, it was your turn to talk.
Was it? I didn't have anything.
It's okay, it wasn't. I just wanted to see what you would do.
Yeah, I finished my statement.
But what I wanted to say before was that another issue that we're having is with Diamond's reshipments. And we got in some stuff last week, yesterday, and stuff in today. And every box has an invoice, a pick ticket, a list of what the books are in the boxes. And it also has an order number attached to it, so you know what order it's from, because they don't necessarily fill everything at once or from the same order. Or you could have a box that has multiple orders in it. Mm-hmm. So what we need to do is, when we're ready to check in the information, we have to pull down that invoice. And frequently now, the things we get on Thursdays, like not the full reorders that we get, but like the little piecemeal things that show up, the little leftovers, aren't tied to anything.
Right.
You type in the invoice number in the system and it comes up with no data.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost a situation of the glitch you said, where you're like, well, when I turn it off, it turns on. It comes, it's fine. Because what it was last week when they came in, there was no information in the system.
Correct.
But by the time, and you just said, I'll leave it till Sunday. You went in Sunday, it was all there.
Yeah, because I was expecting it to be a much more involved process, because if that data doesn't come up correctly when we try and pull the order down from Diamond, you kind of have to go in individually to each item and find it and delete stuff and add it and whatever. It's a much more, like, prolonged process. But just to try it out, I plugged in the box code, and it came up. And that's when I saw it today, I'm like, it's probably going to be something where if I do it on Sunday, that data is in their system now, because whoever is supposed to upload it at the distribution hub just didn't do it yet.
Mm. So I put out the extra Ant-Man trades and the extra FF antithesis, which we, as of yet, don't need, but I'm sure we will.
Probably.
But the other onesies and things I just left, especially the ones that were duplicates.
Yeah, there were 3 graphic novels that, weirdly, they didn't come up on the packing lists, but came up on, like, the received order form on Comic Suite, which I guess they weren't on the packing list because they were packed separately
Coming
as
separately,
well.
yeah.
So we did get them with the shipment on Wednesday and then with a separate reshipment on Friday. So those will just be extras.
It's just that I don't like having to stay like, oh, I can't do this. I'll leave it for Dal.
Sure.
We also got a small box of leftover stuff from Blue. One of those things we got was a Michael Jordan pop.
Yes.
The Michael Jordan pop from when he was in college.
Yes. Duke? Was he at Duke?
From Blue. No, it was North Carolina.
UNC?
A Michael Jordan pop vinyl.
I don't know anything about basketball.
Fine. So, and I looked up in the Blue special order, which is why I had the special order book out when you came in.
Okay.
And it wasn't for anybody. So, I looked it up in Red System, and we have a club member who ordered one of each of those because there's different outfits for him.
Yes, okay.
Those never filled from Diamond yet, so we never got those for
so
Red.
The Bucktown order's never filled, but River North is slowly filling.
Yes.
The store is closed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what I did was I deleted the special order for the pop we got in from that subscriber's account.
Yep.
Then I logged in the quantity that we had, and then I put it on their list as a from stock special order.
Sure.
Because I wanted to make sure that it didn't, because I was just going to put it aside. I'm like, wait, no, because then it'll still try to put it aside. And
Yeah.
I was proud that I figured that out when I thought that went through.
That is the exact process to do it.
Just like I was happy that I realized that Charlie's thing was just like, oh no, it hasn't been. He said he added it, so let me check the ads. Yep, there it is.
Yeah.
It just hadn't been put through.
Yeah.
So I was proud of myself for that, because those are
Good job.
little things that would seem obvious to most people, but if I don't do these tasks regularly,
Sure.
I forget them. And the invoice is not matching up with the I still forget the name of what they call this, reshipment or the
Fulfillment?
yeah, but what kind of, like, it's a specific name for leftover fulfillment that Diamond uses.
Replenishment.
Yes, thank you.
Hey. Terminology. This is going to be a terminology podcast.
The replenishment invoices not matching up is a thing that is dumb.
Yeah, and honestly, it's a thing that a lot of retailers have been complaining about as far as the replenishment stuff goes, because of the way that it, especially if you're using things like Comic Suite, you'll get these orders and they'll be on another invoice that you haven't gotten yet. So your ability to double check stuff and to understand like what you're paying for and how it's being invoiced and what's coming in when is super limited. Like, you can check stuff on the shipment tracking on Diamond's site, but even that's just like, you have to go look.
Yeah.
You got a UPS tracking number, now go look and see what's in that box, because you got no idea.
It's like website orders now using Octopus, whereas, like, especially for local pickup, whereas if the person would come in and pick it up off the shelf and you scan it and the transaction is over. But now it is, you get an email that you have a Shopify order. You go to Shopify order to fulfill that order.
Yep.
You print out a pick ticket for that. Then you go to the main computer and you pull up Octopus, which, by the way, Octopus had turned off.
The computer restarted overnight.
Oh, okay. Okay. So then you have to update your Octopus inventory, and then you have to download the recent orders.
You don't have to do it in that order. You can just download orders if you want.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, updating inventory is just to send whatever changes you've had on the register up to Shopify. But when you're downloading an order, all you have to do is just to download orders.
And then you have to pull up the work order and put it into the system. Like, there's so many extra steps.
There really are.
Just to ring it through.
For someone to get one graphic novel that they're going to come pick up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I wonder how much we're getting people who don't want to go into a store right now. That not even, like, our regular customers. I mean people who are just like, I need a graphic novel. I need it today. I do not want to go into a store. Oh, they have a website. I can shop their stock. I can order it. I can go pick it up.
My point was going to be that they have the ability, as you talked about last week, to browse maybe more thoroughly than if you look around.
That's true. Although,
like,
that said, I'm finding a lot of descriptions not being uploaded, in the sense of, like...
Oh, no.
Well, Diamond never put them in the notes field for our items.
Oh.
Like, I have to do a thing every week now. I post new releases for the store Saturday nights. Usually Saturday nights.
Okay.
For that week's Wednesday. So, like, the stuff for August 26th gets posted to the Shopify storefront on the evening of the 29th. Because I always want to have us have a few days of people who shop at the store.
It is not our goal to have the new releases on sale day and date as the store, because the store is our priority.
Yeah.
The website is added sales.
Yeah, and on top of that, we definitely don't want to have to deal with rushing to the shelves. Not that there'd be a ton of sales on a Wednesday, but there might be, especially for hot books. If someone, finds out that we've got, extra copies of Thor or whatever, and they're just buying 2 of everything, like, I don't want to have to run to the shelves and basically be grabbing up piles of things in front of people who are shopping right there. Like, that's just the thing I wouldn't feel comfortable doing. So anyway, that stuff goes up on Shopify on...
I'm not comfortable restocking the shelves when people are there, just because I don't want them to think, like, oh, like, he was reading that at the counter, or, no. I guess maybe I would think that.
I wouldn't.
Like, I don't want
I
this
was just
used
there was
book.
an extra copy. Somebody put it back, or they had one that needed to go out. Like, not to date myself, but if I went into Blockbuster back in the day, I wouldn't assume that all those videotapes on the counter were... They must have been watching these in the back.
Yeah, but that's different.
I don't think it is.
But Blockbuster, you're only... never mind.
Yeah. But anyway, the books go up in Shopify on a Saturday night, and I spend, at some point, probably an hour and a half over the next 6 days, putting up the images that weren't there, especially for DC stuff that Diamond just doesn't have or didn't have in time, and then going through and finding all the books that have no descriptions on them whatsoever. And some of them are things where it's like, oh, well, this is a thing that got solicited through Lunar, so Diamond didn't have that info. But some of it's just like a random Marvel book, a random Boom book, and it's like, why didn't that get downloaded from Diamond's server into our notes field the same way the images did? Just, I don't know. Did you have a question?
I did. My question was, if Diamond doesn't have a DC photo, where do you get it from?
Lunar.
Okay.
And almost the same way I get it from Diamond, where you can just go to... I go to Lunar's search function, I type in the book, and it'll come up with the cover and the description, and I'll just, copy and paste the description, and then can click on the image, and the image has an image address, and you just paste that into Shopify, and it pulls the image from Lunar. It doesn't need a login or anything.
You're hot linking it.
Exactly. Well, I mean, not hot linking it, because it is pulling it in. It's not just loading it on Shopify every time from Lunar's site. It's just saying, okay, what is the image? And it just pulls it in. It just grabs it one time.
Oh, okay. So you're stealing it.
Yes, I am stealing it. I am using it as a retailer would, so I think I'm pretty much covered, but I guess not if you ask FedEx office. This is copyrighted stuff. I'm using it to sell their book. I think they're going to be okay with that.
We've talked about our few issues with Lunar over the time we've been using them, and more and more every week, it's clear to me how, this is going to sound weird, how good we have it.
Sure.
The number of stores who didn't get their DC books by Wednesday, or even on Wednesday.
This week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stores that just didn't get Three Jokers because they didn't show up yet.
Sure. That's rough.
David Harper store that he goes to, Bosco's in Anchorage, they didn't get their DC shipment in by Wednesday.
We didn't get our DC stuff this week until the afternoon on Tuesday. And keep in mind, as far as DC is concerned, those books go on sale on Tuesday.
Right.
So basically, we got them for DC's interests 3 hours after they were supposed to go on sale. That's when we got the boxes. It took a while to crack everything open, count everything down, pull it for subscribers. Like, that was... There was no way those were going to be on the shelves on Tuesday, even if we were inclined to do that, which I think is
near
really
impossible to get those things done with how much extra work there is.
Because last episode, I think I'd come to you with the, hey, should we be selling this on Tuesday? And it's like, literally the next week's DC books arrived in a way where we could not have sold them on Tuesday.
You can't.
One of the things that I think is maybe the cause of this is how much product DC was putting out this past week.
Agree. I'm sure that's part of it.
300,000 copies of Batman 3 Jokers through Lunar and UCS is probably straining some of the procedures and policies that Lunar and UCS have to get those books out the
And
door.
how many extra SKUs is that as well? It's not just quantity.
I guess maybe it's Lunar and UCS should both be thankful that the DC has had a huge cut to its overhead, because they'll probably never have to worry about a week like this ever again.
But I do feel bad for Lunar and UCS who, when this started, I mean, this is entirely DC's fault for not having these infrastructures up and tested before they had to be used.
They just said, we're doing this, and suddenly it became everyone else's problem to deal with.
And then Lunar and UCS. Lunar and UCS had a couple of weeks where it was just the people that wanted to use them.
Yeah, a smaller batch of clients.
Trying it out.
And a smaller release weeks. Like we were talking about, release weeks from DC that were like 7 books.
Yeah. And then it became, they each probably got like 1,000 more.
Sure. Suddenly, if you were someone in the United States and you wanted to carry DC Comics, which you probably did, you have to go through Lunar and UCS. That's it. Those are your options.
I'm curious, and we'll never know the answers to these, but I'm curious as to how many stores quit DC Comics entirely, because I'm sure there's some. I know there's some.
Probably, but
I'm saying I know of some.
Right, but I mean, it's got to be low double digits.
But
it
also,
cannot be that many.
I wonder what the distribution was between the two distributors, because I don't imagine it's an even 50-50 split.
No, but I got to think it's close.
But I wonder who is
say,
more work and who is less.
I can't say it's more than 40-60 as far as a differential.
It does feel like there's contests with some retailers to see who has it the worst.
That's retailers for you. No one's going to have a contest to see who has it the best.
And I really feel bad for all of these shipment delays that people have had.
And again, I mean, this goes back to what we were talking about with those Comic Suite and Pullbox and DC problems. It's not your fault. You literally can't do anything
I wanted
different.
to bring this up then, but because you were saying, like, hey, we didn't get our books. Well, what did you, as a store that is using these distributors, have in place to prevent? Nothing. There's nothing you could do.
I went to Subway this morning for breakfast, and I was going to get an egg and cheese. No, yesterday. Yesterday. I am so tired still. Yesterday I went to Subway for brunch, basically brunch. It was later.
It's your first meal of the day. It's breakfast.
Well, it was close enough to the afternoon that...
No, breakfast is the first meal, no matter when you have it.
Technically brunch.
Was it 2 meals?
It was honestly, well, no, I had pizza a little later and then
then it was breakfast.
It really was. It was the first of 3 meals, even though I would consider it brunch. And I would consider the slice of pizza in the afternoon maybe a snack.
A snack.
Because it was 1 slice of pizza. That's nowhere close to a meal. Anyway, went to Subway for an egg and cheese sandwich. I prefer the yellow egg. All they had was white egg. And they were getting yellow egg back in the next day. And I know that sometimes these things happen and you run out of stuff, and certainly we've sold out of books and whatever, but there's just like basic staple stuff where I expect Subway to have all of their advertised ingredients at all times.
Sure.
And yet almost, 25% of the time, if not more, I have to call an audible when I go to Subway because they don't have Italian bread, or they don't have, that egg, or they don't have whatever. And I get that some of that stuff is out of their control. Like, they could have had a thing where, that supplier just didn't show up today. And certainly with the coronavirus, everything is in flux. But when I go to Subway and they don't have the right egg, and I have to get white egg instead of yellow egg, they do not taste the same. I hold that against Subway. Even if I shouldn't, I do. Again, why didn't they solve this problem? Why am I not getting the service that I would expect them to offer me because of this situation? Like,
Dad, it's only the whites that really matter as far as nutrition goes.
No, Patrick, no.
The yolks are bad for you.
Patrick, no.
But if we didn't get our lunar shipment this week by Wednesday, what do we have in place to prevent that?
Nothing, and we've had that happen, not with Lunar specifically, although we've had shorted books.
Right, we've had shorted books. We've never not had,
right.
Holy shit, we're definitely opening the door for this to be happening next week. Yeah, thanks.
We have had, I want to say there's been an instance with Diamond maybe once or twice in the past where books just were not there. We go to pick our books up, so we're less at the mercy of like UPS showing up too early or too late or not stopping at all, which we've had happen with direct shipments from Diamond and other vendors before, where something is supposed to show up and the driver just doesn't stop or comes way too early. So with our weekly shipments with Diamond, we're really not at the mercy of that, but we have had instances where the truck has an accident. The truck that's carrying like an entire state's worth of books
has an accident,
breaks down or has an accident, and suddenly it's like, okay, well, that's going to take an extra day to get like that truck unloaded to a different truck and have that truck go someplace else. Like, and there's literally nothing you can do. You're just like, meh. And honestly, like that stuff, weirdly, that stuff doesn't bother me at all. Like when we have errors with the subscriber stuff, it's like that haunts me. I feel so angry and frustrated and guilty about that. But like if books don't show up from a vendor, it's just like they didn't show up. What am I going to do? I can't go to like a UPS truck and just like open the doors and start looking for my boxes. Nothing. I can't do anything. People are going to be upset about that. Okay, I can't fix this. None of this was my responsibility. I did everything I was supposed to do and the books didn't show up. I don't know. So yeah, weirdly that stuff doesn't affect me at all. I would not feel, I'd feel angry about like the potential loss of sales, and I certainly wouldn't want to get yelled at by people, but I wouldn't feel responsible.
So we know that our books arrive to the drop-off point on Saturdays for the most part.
Okay.
But we, challengers, aren't allowed to get them until Tuesday.
Correct.
And when I say we challengers, I mean most stores aren't allowed to get them until Tuesday. Some stores can get them on Monday.
Yep.
I thought there was a chance we would graduate into the Monday class with Blue, but
never got there.
That is, yeah, we didn't make it. I wonder when the non-pickup stores get their books, because there's a few stores in the city that just use delivery.
Sure.
And I wonder how Diamond mitigates that, because you would assume all the books are sent out at the same time. Like, hey, these are going to Chicago, so they all go together. Mm-hmm. But that means they would get theirs days before we do. And that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think because of how they're processed, I think they're largely like off. Like when our pickup point gets them is maybe when the local UPS hub gets everyone who's getting delivered.
Okay.
So then they have to break them down. They have to put them on different trucks, and that's going to take a few days, and that's not going to go out until Tuesday. They might even, and I don't know if this is even possible, have a deliver on whatever date.
Yeah,
where
held, sure.
They get held at the distribution hub until Monday night, and then they get loaded on trucks and they go out Tuesday. We heard from people years ago, stores that no longer exist, that they had Tuesday delivery, but because they were getting it via UPS, sometimes they get it. Most times they get it Tuesday afternoon, but sometime Wednesday. And I want to say we've heard that from other stores across the country, where, again, occasionally the UPS driver is just too busy or misses the boxes or whatever, and then all of a sudden you're just on the next day's delivery.
Yeah, I'm on the mailing list of some stores around the country, and occasionally there's a, hey, we'll, like a Wednesday afternoon email, hey, we got the books are available now. Like, you got to wait until they tell you when it's there.
Yeah.
And I just feel bad for everybody who's in comics, really.
Sure. It's a tough gig.
It is. It's a weird one. And some people have been doing it for a long time.
It's true. I read an article about a retailer who, and Patrick, you're not going to believe me when I say this, has been doing this for 30 years.
That's not
3-0.
That's not real.
3-0. Full-time comics retailer for 30 years. Not just someone who's like, oh, I did a job after school.
Right?
No, Patrick. 30 years.
I was going to say, did you actually read it? But that just proves that you did.
I did. There's a little call-out for you.
Did you like
I'll be honest. I did not read every word, because there's a point of this where it's like, well, I lived some of this, and also I've heard all of these stories before, but some of it was interesting.
But there
Byron, you brought up Byron. Hey, Byron.
Capital C. Byron speaking.
I think it's good that you did that, because there is that mention of you can do a Byron impression, but it's in like a print interview. And it's,
so
for someone that 99.9% of people reading that have never even heard of Byron at Capital City, so you have to do it on this podcast to let people who read that sketched article know this is the impression.
I did it for David, and I said, I'm sure that's going to go over really well in a print article. And he goes, don't worry, I'll put a parenthetical that says Patrick does bad impression here. And he didn't, and when I went through and edited it, here. So the funny thing is that we're talking about an article on Sketch.com that David Harper interviewed me for my 30 years in the business.
A free article at that. I was concerned that it would be behind a subscriber paywall after the first
he made
paragraph,
it open.
And I'd be like, Patrick, I need to borrow your...
He made it open for everybody, which was great. But it was it was a normal conversation for us because when I'm on his podcast, we usually talk for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And then he just, doesn't
Pulls
put the beginning and the ending.
Yeah.
But this time he's like, no, I use a transcription service, so they'll go through everything.
That's cool.
And we finished like at around 10 o'clock our time. Mm-hmm. He's 3 hours behind us.
3 years behind.
More than 3 years. You're more than 3 years.
I mean,
behind
Alaska, Jesus.
Did you catch the one really nice thing I said about you? I guess you didn't.
I did. I mean, there was a few things I thought were really
Okay.
nice. I don't know what you would consider the really nice thing, though.
I mean, there was
The college thing I thought was really nice.
That was it.
That was a really
Yeah.
nice thing.
So
Like anybody, Patrick, I'm always just looking for my name.
that's fair. I mean, just Control F that.
But I didn't. I did read the rest of it, and I thought there was some really interesting stuff in there.
So the next morning, it was transcribed.
Mm-hmm.
And he sent it to me, and he's like, yeah, here it is. And I go, hey, you know what? And he sent it to me a day that I couldn't get to it right away. I'm like, hey, I'll get to this later in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent hours editing it.
Sure.
Like, because the transcription people...
They'll miss terminology frequently.
Yeah, or they won't get names.
Yeah.
They'll misspell names. Like
I've seen that other places where they think that something is a common word when it's like, no, that is like a proper noun.
right.
But you don't know that proper noun because you don't work in that industry.
Their,
Sure.
uses like that, and store names and whatever. And I just want to make sure that things that needed to be capitalized were whatever.
Right.
So anyway, I spent hours editing it, and then I sent it back. And David even said, "Hey, you don't have to do that. I'll go through this." He goes, "I gave it a once over, but I'll tighten it up later." But I'm like, nah, I'll do this. And I cut out things where I thought we were off topic. And like I did a really fine-tooth comb editing job.
Mm-hmm.
And then he responds almost immediately saying, I don't know how you did this. You edited the original transcript. You didn't edit what I sent you.
Whoops.
He's like, I already did a pass-through. You edited the previous version.
Huh.
Well, here's how it happened, because what he sent me had a... it's from the transcription program,
Mm-hmm.
so it'll show you like the page layouts and everything, and the transcription footnote, like the watermarks and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it also had a link at the top that said, "For the most recent version, click here."
Oh.
So I clicked there, but in fact, it wasn't the recent version.
Oh.
It was the previous version. So he couldn't use all my. He's like, I don't know how to reconcile these, and I said, just scrap mine, just forget it. But I was worried
More
about
wasted work for a comics
little-
retailer. 30 years of it, Patrick.
little things like the umlaut over Joelle Jones's name,
Sure.
or getting Lily Carr's name spelt right. Little things like that,
Or the weird thing where they thought you knew the actor Amber Benson from Buffy when you knew Robert Guillaume from the show Benson.
I prefer to think of Robert Guillaume from Sports Night, but he was in Benson too. You're right.
He was. I mean,
Yeah.
that's usually where people would
Yeah.
know him from, is from Benson.
One of the things I realized with this piece is that if I'm being interviewed, I have a specific way that I'll talk, but if I'm having a conversation, I'll be a lot more casual.
Sure.
And because there were a lot of storytelling in this, like normal podcasts, I'm not necessarily spending a lot of time relaying stories and saying what other people said. I mean, there's some anecdotes, but there was a lot of this in the sketched retrospective. And I don't say, like most people, I don't say he said, they said, I said, and they're like, and like replaces said, and I think that's too casual for a written piece, and I said it a million times.
So here's, for me in writing, I usually will use like if I'm giving, like if I'm paraphrasing, if I'm giving a gist of something, if I don't want someone to think,
this is verbatim.
yeah, this is a quote, even if I'm not putting it in quotes, I'll use like to get across sort of the general tone. I'm not going to try and be very like word to word. But if I say someone said this, I try and be as accurate as possible. So I will usually use like just to cover my ass. Like, I don't want to be in a situation where like, I didn't say that. Well, you said,
You said something like
yeah.
it.
He was like, oh, I really enjoyed this thing, when what you said was, I found this really enjoyable, and it's like, whatever.
Unfortunately, there are some words that I use that the current president uses, and every time I see it written, especially if I said it, I hear it in his voice, and it just creeps me out to no end.
Did you call people nasty?
So I even mentioned that to David, and David said, I didn't get the feeling at all that you don't talk like that at all. Mm-hmm. But I still hear it, especially, here's a word that I feel I can never use again. Uh-huh. Tremendous.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah. And I think I used it somewhere in that article, and I thought,
Beautiful. I feel like you can't use beautiful anymore either.
Yeah, that's definitely...
That describes everything as beautiful.
Yeah. Also...
How can a phone call be beautiful?
Why do...
How?
Why do people's physical appearance matter so much when you're talking about an exchange you had with them?
It's mostly that he only knows about 7 words. Anyway, we've gotten slightly off topic.
I am thankful for David for taking the time and doing all the heavy lifting for this. And one of the great things about this with David is, and I talked about, I think, maybe last week, about wanting to have done this. Mm-hmm. But not only can David keep an interview on track, he keeps the tone where it needs to be, so I never got dark or depressing.
Right.
Because he's not going to say, like, why do you hate the industry today, or feeling like that.
Sure.
It was all mainly positive, and he can keep it lighter. And
you got some things in, though.
I thought...
You got a few.
I thought I had...
My favorite one was where he had to specify, it's not that I'm mad at James Tynan and Donny Cates, but oh my god.
Actually, if you will, that is a quote from you I just took.
I know, but you're the one who said it in print.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Through no fault of their own, you're making it difficult.
They are. I mean, and you had... your point was very fair, which is that it's frustrating that no one seems to care about the story so much as they seem to care about the collectability of what these guys are doing on their books.
Here's the perfect example of that. There's a book that came out this week that I think has a major change in a character's status quo, specifically in the DC universe. Mm-hmm. Not a single person asked us about that book.
I mean, I don't read a lot of DC books.
Right, and you would never read this book, but...
Okay, good.
Dal, who is Robin?
Who is Robin?
Yeah.
Is it Damian Wayne?
That's a trick question. There is no Robin in current DC continuity.
No?
Damian Wayne quit. Had a big fight with Batman, tore off the R, handed it to him and said, now I'm finally free.
In Teen Titans, so it doesn't count. That book's getting canceled. And Damian Wayne is definitely going to be showing up in some of these books in the Bat line again very soon.
Right, I know this, but I feel like until you see what he does next, this feels like, oh my god, this is a big deal.
Sure. I guess, again, it's a thing where, because of where it's happening, it ends up not mattering.
Yeah, but if I was a younger comic fan, that would be a huge deal to me.
Sure. I certainly, like, a guy quitting being Robin in a Teen Titans book historically matters.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big deal. There was a guy who did that who never became Robin again, I think.
But he became Batman.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
And didn't stay Batman.
Well, sure.
But I don't feel like anyone's looking at Damian Wayne quitting being Robin in Teen Titans, a book, again, that is being canceled in 2 months.
It's being canceled because there's no Robin to lead them, Dal.
As any sort of major
Is
status
it going to be
change.
Crush? Is Crush going to lead the Teen Titans?
Crush also going to be the new Robin? That'd be cool.
Would it? You want Lobo's daughter to be the new Robin?
That'd be fun.
Okay. I'm just saying...
I'd read that story.
That sounds like the kind of thing that you'd at least get people saying, hey, I heard about this. I want to...
No, because it doesn't matter.
It also doesn't matter because we can't get it for you because we don't have any, and DC's distribution changes mean we're not restocking.
Yeah, and also, like, I think even the points
we don't necessarily have the option to restock is what I mean when I say we're not restocking. It is not a conscious choice of ours to say, no, forget it, we're not getting that.
A year ago, like when we were dealing with... Was it a year ago? We were dealing with the death of Alfred. That was a thing.
Spoilers.
That was a thing where it was a really big deal story thing, and people were really excited about it.
Hold on a second. Mm-hmm. I read Three Jokers #1. Alfred is not dead. He is all throughout that book.
Maybe there's 4 Alfreds. Do you think like they're really like the rotund one will be in there somewhere? Wasn't there like a brief period where Alfred was drawn very
Jarvis-esque?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. But nowadays, like, I think story content does not matter. It's all first appearances. So things happening to characters don't matter. First appearances of characters are all that matter. Like, even if it's just a variation of Spawn, it's incredibly huge. How many people wanted that
Gunslinger
Spawn 309 cover B? Again, it doesn't matter what's inside the book. It matters that this is the first cover appearance of Gunslinger Spawn. They're reprinting it, just that cover. Like, they're not reprinting cover A, they're only reprinting cover B. So yeah, it's you're looking at what would have been interesting to readers 5 or 10 or 20 years ago.
What I think is working against some comic titles specifically is I read this week's Amazing Spider-Man this morning.
Okay.
I didn't like the art.
No.
And how many artists are going to be on this storyline?
I don't know, too.
Too many.
Probably.
Don't keep changing. The Wonder Woman, not relaunch, but you got Mariko Tamaki writing the book. You had Mikhail Yana doing the art. Powerhouse A-list team.
Yeah.
And 2 issues later...
Yeah, by chapter 3.
By chapter 3, new artist.
Mm-hmm.
Carla
Carla Barberi, who is... I don't think anyone's idea of an A-list artist in 2020. Just throwing that out there.
And I
No
get
offense
that
to
it's
Carla
every
Barberi.
2 weeks.
There's a tier.
But, man, work it out better so it's not as jarring in between.
Seriously.
This is something that Ryan Voss has said frequently, but I agree with him. Amazing Spider-Man is Marvel's flagship book.
Yeah.
How come you have artists on it that are not good? How come Captain America has such bad artists who are...
I had to drop that book.
Oh, God, the art is so bad.
It was real bad.
We had a subscriber today drop Action Comics because John Romita Jr. is really loose and underwhelming nowadays.
Not great on that.
And that's a guy who, in his prime, I was a huge fan of.
Sure.
And I'm not saying like, oh, he doesn't deserve to draw the book anymore, but when you're charging $4 or more for 20 pages, I want the pages to be better.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think that's unfair to ask.
I don't think it's unfair to ask. And I don't think that Jason Masters or Bob Quinn are even B-list artists.
No, it's true.
And looking at some of the Captain America stuff, I don't even understand the way the mask works on the face.
Yeah.
And I always remember Marvel saying, if you want to work for us, you have to be better than our best artists. And I thought, no, you don't. You have to be able to turn in a page.
Yeah, and I wonder if some of that is because of the overproduction in the industry. It reminds me a lot of the early 90s problems where there were suddenly so many books being published that the pool of talent was not large enough for the amount of books that needed to be published. So more and more talent kept getting added to the pool. Like people who maybe would not have made the cut on a C-list book were suddenly getting B-list books, and guys who couldn't get B-list books were A-list artists just because of how many books needed to be published. I wonder if that's some of it. Like, some of the people that you would think would be drawing a book like Captain America are not even working at Marvel anymore. They're working at other companies.
Sure, but I also don't think that the editorial departments have the time to discover the new talent, because I fully believe the talent is out there. There are A-list artists ready to be given chances. They're just not being found.
Maybe you're right.
And I don't know that people go through the old ways of cold submitting artwork like everyone used to. I used to.
I think Instagram now.
Sure, but Instagram is a good way, or DeviantArt is a good way to find people, but C.B. Cebulski was that guy, and now he's too busy running their line-ish. So who's finding the new talent? And if you're doing it, find better talent.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's certainly a rough time for some of those books.
Yeah, and especially when, again, you're paying $4.99 for a book that... Well, actually, I was going to say Empire. Art on Empire is good.
Sure, Valeria Sheedy.
Yeah, it's Valeria Sheedy, and they deserve to be an A-list title, but also I'm harping on the $5 for 20 pages of story and art again.
Sure, it's the event tax.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
Marvel is not going to give you an event title, an issue and an event title for less than $5. Just not.
How often are the Marvel emails, hey, Eternals #1 is now $4.99, no change in content?
Yep. Because in almost all their issue ones, like, in a mini-series, you could probably get away with an issue 1 for $3.99, but if it's an ongoing series, it's almost guaranteed to start at $5. Could be more, but it's going to be at a minimum $4.99 for a Marvel #1.
It's also gone so far that if they show you a #1 that's $3.99, I think, oh, they don't have any faith in this book.
What's wrong?
Yeah. What's wrong with this title? They're not expecting
only
anything.
charging $4? Yeesh.
Yeah. I think it's pretty clear to listeners who are regular enough that they listened to last week to this week that I did not have a margarita today.
Sorry.
I'm sorry too. I did not have the ability to get a margarita today.
Is that going to be like an every other episode sort of thing?
I mean, if I have my druthers. Yes. And by druthers, I mean margarita.
Uh-huh.
If anybody wants to swing by Challengers Fridays around, 3:30, and don't mind heading back out to Lazo's.
It's only down the block. It's not that far.
Yeah, it's a block or two up.
Not even.
Yeah.
It's like a 5-minute walk.
Donovan came by today.
Yeah.
Because she had seen the post margaritas and she thought, oh, maybe there's margaritas on Fridays. And she came in and she looked around. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, there's no margaritas. She's like, that's okay. I'm like, no, there could be.
Yeah,
Donovan.
you could go get
Donovan,
them.
there could be.
Right now.
Huh? There were not margaritas.
Oh. Disappointing.
What else is disappointing is social media.
Oh.
And I know that's a very blanket segue.
No, but it's also true.
True, it is. I'm sure people who follow us on social media saw that in conjunction with Jack Kirby's 103rd birthday, which is right now as we're recording this, and with my 30th anniversary in comics, I like to celebrate milestones that have significance to me specifically with tattoos. On my 25th anniversary of being a comic book retailer, on that very day, I got the comics knuckle tattoo.
Good one.
And it's lucky that it works out where it is a milestone day. Like on my 50th birthday, I was able to finish the Jack Kirby chest piece that I have.
Mm-hmm.
But like that day, I specifically took off because it was my 50th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
But these other milestones happen to coincide with days off that I have.
Sure.
And at the last minute, and by that I mean like 3/4 of a week before, I emailed one of my 2 regular tattoo artists and said, hey, do you have any time Thursday? And they said, yeah, actually I had a cancellation, so I got time around 1. So I'm like, great, here's what we're doing. So I got that Captain America head Jack Kirby tattoo.
Yeah, how's it feel?
It stings. The weird thing is and this is a product called Tegaderm, which
That's
is
covering it.
Yeah, which is it's a clear plastic film that is used for burns.
Okay.
It is a way to
Robert Burns, the patron.
if he is on fire. It seals a wound, but it lets it heal and breathe, but also keeps it protected.
Okay.
So it's mainly used for healing burns, but a lot of tattoo artists use it to heal tattoos.
Okay.
And I've used it on like maybe 1/4 of the tattoos,
Okay.
based on placement and whatnot. And the back of the hand where this tattoo is a real tough place to heal.
Sure.
So it's wrapped in Tegaderm, but for the first couple days of a tattoo, it bleeds ink.
Okay.
Like the excess ink in the skin comes out, and it's messy and goopy and soggy, and you're still bleeding a little bit too. So
Me personally,
yeah,
or okay,
inside.
Weird.
So I actually, Caitlin had said, "Hey, leave it on for, like at least for 2 days if you can." I couldn't. This is a piece I actually had,
Okay.
but I keep it because it's kind of gross. If I hadn't changed it, this would all just be solid black. and running, it comes out the sides because it's not a complete watertight seal, and it rolls up. So I wrapped it last night. I wrapped it all day today.
Sure.
I've had to field a few. What'd you do with your hand? Nothing. It's just for visual.
Someone stabbed me a whole bunch of times in that hand
I mean,
for a while.
for 3 hours.
Yeah. So many stabbings.
The fill-in is it's a 5 needles at once going. Yeah.
Wow. Can I ask you a question about that tattoo?
Yeah.
Why that cap head specifically? Because I assume that you looked at a lot of different cap heads.
I did look at a lot of cap heads. I think this is a very classic, a very traditional image, and they use it a lot in marketing.
You went yelling cap
Yeah.
instead of like, more,
Yes.
a more neutral cap.
Yes, but he could also be saying Avengers Assemble.
He's yelling something.
Yeah.
I don't mean he's like yelling at like a waiter. I mean he's like exclaiming something.
I think closed mouth caps would look weird.
You're probably right.
Also, because we weren't going to use any color for the flesh part, it would just be like a thin little line there.
Oh, I see.
It needed something bolder to pull your eye from it. But you're right. There's been a lot of.
I mean, I don't think there's a bad choice. I'm not saying what you did was.
I'm sure there's bad choices, but yeah.
I mean, I don't know. There's bad Kirby caps.
I will tell you that, as we discussed the potential for the companion piece, having a hard time finding a really good, like, there's a lot of elements involved in that, It's not just
the one you and I talked about.
No, the one I talked about.
Okay.
I'm not dismissing yours, but I'm probably not going to do it.
Okay, that's fine.
I think the other one is a little more iconic.
Okay.
Although I've had multiple people suggest, why don't you get Red Skull?
The Nazi.
I don't want a tattoo of a Nazi, whether fictional or not.
The Nazi.
Yeah, that's why. And also, like, just don't want a big red skull on the back of my hand.
Yeah.
Regardless of... No, it's the Red Skull. Regardless.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Kirby's Red Skull is a great design.
Yeah.
That's a Nazi and you're getting it tattooed on your skin. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hard one to explain.
Fun thing about Caitlin as an artist is that she's an artist who does tattoos.
Yeah.
So, like, all the crackle is free-handed. It wasn't a stencil.
Good job.
I mean, she drew it in first.
Right,
but
still.
Yeah, not free-handed, like, needle to skin.
No.
But yeah, because she understands Kirby and Kirby Crackle and whatnot, and I had sent her, like, hey, this is what I'm thinking of, not like you have to use this crackle.
Here's your template.
And my crackle was completely different than how she did it.
Yeah.
Plus, as is with all tattoo artists, but especially with her, I'll say, hey, it's going to be 2 1/4 inches, and she's like, all right, here it is, it's 5 inches. I'm like, no, that's too big. It's got to be big. So we fight back and forth, and ultimately...
On how legible a tattoo is going to be at the size that you want it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's always bigger than I want it, but smaller than she wants it. Like, we both compromise. But there was... Like, my crackle design was different because of the placement. But she understands placement way better than I do. And she's good at incorporating it around. And it's weird to me because I don't have a feel... This is a pretty bold tattoo for me to get because it took me years to be comfortable or confident enough to have a back of a hand tattoo. That is
and color. You don't do a lot of color.
Right. She even said, you're doing color? I'm like, yeah. But to me, the delineation from the wrist to the knuckles is a separate canvas.
Sure. And I think for the left hand, I think it works well because you've already got the lips there.
Which are colored, yeah.
So it kind of leads you into that a little bit.
And I think in the right hand, because it's a straight line across, it'll be a demarcation to where it could be, so it'll work.
And I mean, what you're talking about getting is not necessarily as colorful.
Right, but it has more color, but it is not as colorful.
Right.
Yes. Whereas we cheat with Captain America and use the flesh for... my flesh for his, because I would make it a little darker if I was doing actual comic skin tone.
When you look at your cap, do you whisper to it, my flesh for your flesh?
I do not. Nor will I ever. And I had her do the white for the wings and the A and the teeth, but that'll fade really quickly. Oh, you know what? I didn't have her do the white for the eyes. Interesting. I didn't think of that. Doesn't matter. But I don't have a feel for it yet because it's still in that goopy healing phase.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it really feels. But the reason I brought this up at all was I put a post on Instagram and then it copies over to Facebook and
okay, sure.
Twitter as well about it. And a lot of the stuff that we do on social media is to raise awareness for things we're doing at the store. Like today I made a Jack Kirby post for his birthday. Actually, it was because our customer Tom had called asking for the Skeely Kirby book. He's like, I want to do something specifically Kirby for his birthday. I'm like, right, I should do something. So I did a post with that book. And then he saw that and said, don't sell my copy. Actually, I am using the one you're going to buy for this photo. But nonetheless, I don't expect a lot of reactions to a lot of things because I've been conditioned by our social media following that we get dedicated people who like and sometimes respond. But we're not a store that gets thousands of likes for anything we do on the rarest of occasions with a lot of people calling attention to a thing or whatever. And on Instagram, the photo of the cap tattoo has over 400 likes, which is definitely a record for us.
That's great.
And by that, I mean, we don't even have anything, not counting views, because views are different than likes, but we don't even have like 300 likes for anything, which is real small in the realm of social media. There was another store, I can't remember who, but I was looking at their socials this week, and they did a special giveaway because they just got their 15,000th Instagram follower.
Oof.
And we're at like 1,700.
Sure.
But our Instagram stuff is not can't miss stuff.
No, you can miss it.
So anyway, two people, Giorgio Reyes and Chance Fullerton, alerted me to this post, and I want to point out it was Caitlin Drake McKay from Revolution Tattoo who did this tattoo. She's at Revolution, which is up the block from us, basically Fullerton and Western.
Yeah, it's true.
And not only that, but my Instagram post was a couple of pictures that I'd taken during the process, but she has a nice glare blocking lens she uses for final photos, so she sent me some photos she took. So the main photo that you see, she took. Because I want to give her credit for the work, but also the photograph.
Sure. Because
giving credit is the moral of the story. 2 other people pointed out this one post to me, and there's an account that I followed that I hadn't seen called Jack Kirby Art, who had taken that photo and posted it. They didn't use Repost, which is an app that literally reposts the entire post,
right?
And it'll say, you can type whatever you want, but then it'll say reposted with repost at from
they just
Go Challengers Go,
saved
and
it,
here's all the tags and links and everything.
and
No, they just took
it.
the photo, posted it as theirs, tagged Revolution Tattoo, which I hadn't tagged, but I'd geotagged, so maybe it was automatic, I don't know.
Maybe.
Didn't give me credit, didn't give Caitlin credit.
That sucks.
And it has, right before we started recording, 2,500 likes already.
It's a lot.
Yeah, you know what? I will repost things using Repost, and I may not necessarily ask permission to repost, but I give credit.
Also, there is no greater irony than on Jack Kirby's birthday having a piece of Jack Kirby's artwork stolen. I mean, you couldn't write that. That's amazing.
How dare you?
Man.
And of course I would have let them.
How would Kirby feel about Kirby art being stolen by somebody on the internet? Probably
But more
not
than
great.
anything, I wanted Caitlin to get the credit, because maybe somebody sees that and says, that's great, I want to use her.
Sure. Especially if you're someone who wants to get a comic book tattoo.
Yeah. Yeah, so how dare you, Jack Kirby Art Instagram page.
Yeah, not cool.
Especially on the King's birthday.
Yep.
Didn't want to end it on an angry, sad note, but I guess we did.
Oops.
Thanks for listening and fighting Nazis.
And keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.